So if you guys are thinking about buying a home in Denver in 2026, there's one thing that you guys need to hear before you look at a single listing on Zillow. Buying in Denver, it's not about finding a perfect house. What's more important is understanding where you're buying, why you're buying, and just how to set yourself up so you don't regret the decision later. Because Denver is not one market. In fact, it's dozens of completely different lifestyles, price points, and long-term outcomes. It's all packed into this one metro area, and it really does require some understanding to make that perfect decision. So if I'm speaking your language today, I can't wait to share this brand new episode of Living in Denver with you. Let's go. All right, so as I said, today's gonna be all about how to buy a home in Denver in 2026. Before we get started, my name is Adam. I'm a licensed realtor in Colorado and Denver native here in the Mile High City, and loving videos just like this one. So the info on the screen, if you guys have any questions after watching this video, feel free to reach out. I'll also leave it down in the show notes if you need to just reach out to me with anything specifically. But more than anything else, just want you guys to get as much value as you can out of this episode. So hope you guys enjoy it. So the way that I've structured this video, we're actually going to cover 4 things that really matter more than interest rates or headlines for that matter. We're going to talk about understanding the Denver area. We're also going to talk about getting educated before you shop for homes. We're going to talk about touring neighborhoods the right way, the strategic way. And last but not least, knowing when it actually makes sense for you to buy. It's not a one-size-fits-all decision here, and it's really important to understand that. With all that being said, let's just jump right into probably the biggest mistake that I'm seeing Denver buyers make right now, and that's understanding the local market and knowing and at least understanding after coming out here that Denver isn't just this one area. It's really built up of a lot more of these micro neighborhoods or micro markets. It's important to understand because these differences can be massive, even within a similar part of town. I'm talking lifestyle, home styles, price points, some of the commute patterns that you might be dealing with, as well as just the day-to-day energy that you're going to be getting from the neighbors that you're going to start to be living nearby. So lots of differences when it comes to just all throughout Denver. You know, as an example, if you head up north out of downtown Denver, you're going to find areas like Thornton, or even to a little bit to the east of that, areas like Erie and Brighton. And these tend to offer a lot of times newer housing, some of these larger developments, and probably a little bit more value per square foot, but definitely a little bit less when it comes to walkability. Also some longer commutes if you're still going into downtown Denver for your job. Or you could also go move out west to areas like Wheat Ridge and Golden, and they're gonna feel completely different from Brighton and Thornton. In these areas like Golden and Wheat Ridge, you're gonna find a lot more of the mid-century homes, probably some older lots, quick access to the foothills, also just a stronger outdoor lifestyle for a lot of people, but is also going to probably come with a little bit higher price point. Or just one last example, you could head to the south or maybe a little bit to the southeast in an area like Aurora, which opens up an entirely different conversation. Now, Aurora is massive. In fact, it's the 3rd largest city in the entire state, and it's the largest within Denver. Over 300,000 residents just in Aurora alone. You're going to find, some of the best food in the state in this part of Denver, but also a huge range of housing prices, new construction, and proximity to Denver International Airport, but a lot less of that traditional downtown feel in a lot of the areas. So, and you know what? I'm gonna share one more example. Even further to the south, you have areas like Littleton, and even below that, areas like Castle Rock. These are bringing in a little bit more of that suburban, family-oriented lifestyle, definitely strong school districts and more space oftentimes, but with the trade-off of sometimes the commute time if you are commuting to downtown Denver. Lots to think about here, guys. I know I'm probably throwing a lot at you, but just really trying to make the point clear that it's not just one area when you consider Denver. There's so many different aspects to consider to really make sure you make that right choice. So that brings me right into kind of the next point, which is just getting educated ahead of time. And the reason I want this to be its own point that I share with you guys today is because it is so important, and it's something that so often gets missed, overlooked, and just not given the time it really needs and deserves. And because of that, a lot of people that do choose to move out here and buy a home, they end up selling and buying a different home a couple years later because they didn't really land in the spot that made the most sense for their lifestyle and what they were looking for in that perfect home. So one great way to avoid that is, like we were talking about earlier, just understanding and learning the neighborhoods. So quick plug here. If you guys go to adamstillsdenver.com, I put a lot of time and effort and money into my website, and I have a really cool interactive map. It's got over 20 of my favorite, but also just the main areas within Denver. And in each of these 20, you can click on it. You can learn a little bit more about the types of homes in those areas, price ranges, maybe if they have good walkability, what schools are in the area, and also some of the commute times that you might be faced with. So with all those different characteristics, that's going to really start to help you understand whether or not these certain areas really make the most sense for you. Because pictures, they're not going to tell you how a neighborhood feels, and that is what's most important. So now, once you understand those neighborhoods a little bit better, the second part of this is going to be understanding the actual buying process itself. Whether you're a first-time home buyer or you've bought and sold 20 homes, it's still really important to understand the differences that maybe Colorado has in comparison to the state that you're moving from. Every state's a bit different. Every state has little, certain things that are intricacies that might be a little bit different, and strategies to ensure that you do get the best home at the best price and the best terms. And a lot of that comes down, again, to understanding the buying process itself. I actually do a full, really helpful online free webinar every single month on the home buying process. So if you guys want, feel free to grab a seat to the next one. Seats are limited. It's webinar.adamsoulsdenver.com. But in that, I also explain how I have a 5-step framework that I use. And this really applies whether you're buying, again, your first home or your 20th. Step 1 is always all about clarity. And the way I like to describe this is before you start going out looking at homes, you and your spouse or partner, whoever you're going to be living in this new home with, you need to sit down and you really need to have an honest conversation and start to define a few things. First, you need to define what are your non-negotiables. 2, you need to understand what are your must-haves and what are some of your nice-to-haves. Now, this sounds simple, but it really is a huge part and something that can make such a difference if you just go through this process and spend a little bit of time doing this. For example, if one of you really values walkability and the other really feels like they need a 3-car garage, these two decisions are pretty different from one another, and they might need to be worked out a bit before emotions start to get involved. Because at the end of the day, the buyers who do this work, they're the ones that are going to move faster, they're going to negotiate better, and they're probably going to have a lot less regret later on. So that takes us right into the third step, and this one is going to be getting your boots on the ground and doing it the right way. And that's the key, doing it the right way. So if you guys watching this video right now, if you're relocating to Denver, this part is especially important. So make sure you put down whatever you're doing and listen up, because this one is one of the biggest things I'm going to share with you guys today. You see, Denver, it changes dramatically by season, time of day, even day of the week. And a neighborhood that might feel quiet on a Tuesday morning might feel completely different on a Saturday night. Traffic patterns shift, parking changes, restaurants, trails, streets can come alive during certain times of the week, or vice versa, they could be completely overwhelmed. So I bring all this up because if possible, I always recommend when you come out to visit Denver, you do it not only in 2 different times of the year to really understand that there's different seasons, but also you do it at different times of the day. So a couple different times of the year, as well as a couple different times of the day. So let's just say you guys come out in the winter and experience Denver a little bit during that time of year, and then you come out again maybe in the spring, early summertime. Well, you do that, you find this house that you really like, or maybe a neighborhood in an area that you really like. Well, now you got to do the same thing, but just within that day or within that week, because I'll tell you what, there's certain areas that might be close, let's just say as an example, close to a school zone, where at 5 o'clock on a weekday, there's no traffic and no issues at all. But man, all of a sudden you go back there on a Tuesday at 9 a.m. and you can't even get out of the neighborhood because there's a line of 50 cars trying to drop their kids off at school. These little things matter. And I'm telling you guys, so many times people don't do this kind of stuff and then they end up regretting the home that they bought. So really important. So once you've done those 3 things, understanding the area, getting educated and touring intentionally, now the next step is going to be strategy. And this could be a great opportunity and where a one-on-one real estate strategy session with somebody like myself can really make a big difference, because it's not a sales call, it's a planning conversation. It's really just something that we can talk through together about your timeline, your comfort level, your maybe financing options, as well as just how to approach the current Denver market without feeling that pressure and making those emotional decisions instead of a very level-headed, grounded decision, which always ends up being in your favor, and you always end up with a better outcome when you do it the correct way. Now, if these one-on-one real estate strategy sessions just feel a little overwhelming, and I get it, you haven't met me yet, no big deal. I just wanted to share one last thing with you guys, one last plug, and then we'll wrap this video up. In addition to a one-on-one strategy session, I also do these monthly webinars. There's a online free masterclass on the Denver homebuyer process and just what's actually happening today in the Denver market. I do these every single month with one of the top mortgage lenders in the country. His name is Benjamin Adams. He's also one of my best buddies. And we actually do these together every month. They're free. You got to sign up for them though, because seats do fill up. So I'll just put a link down in the show notes as well as on the screen. Just go to webinar.adamshillsdenver.com, grab a seat. And what's so nice about these is we walk through the entire process from A to Z, as well as the current market conditions and a lot of common mistakes that buyers are doing, at least they were doing in 2025, and hopefully will not be doing in 2026 because you guys are attending these and you're going to learn and be educated when that day does come. So would really, really love to have you guys on the next one. So again, put that info down below. But right now I want to leave you guys with this because it matters more than any stat or any headline that's out there in the news. The best time to buy a home in Denver, it's not when the rates drop. It's not when the prices maybe soften a bit. And it's not when social media or somebody else in your family maybe tells you that the market is hot or cold. The best time to buy is when it makes the most sense for you and your life, your income, your stability, your goals. Denver will always be changing, but smart buyers, they don't chase the market, they plan within it. So if you guys need help with any of this, as I said, feel free to schedule that one-on-one real estate strategy session or hop on that next live Denver Homebuyer Masterclass webinar, and we can talk through exactly what makes the most sense for you. And I'm going to leave you guys with this. If you felt like this episode was valuable, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button down below. I post new videos every single week, and I want to make sure you guys are the first to receive them, just to make those confident, smart, educated decisions whenever that day does come. Can't wait to see you guys on the next episode. Until then, have a great rest of your day, a great rest of your week, and I'll catch you on that one.